Hello, everyone. Ben Bryce, joined as always by Teddy Tarvis on Tuesday, June 18th, to give you your midday mayhem. And Teddy, a lot of mayhem out there. Finally seeing some green in these markets. So unbelievable, unbelievable, dude. How is that possible, dude?
A lot of mayhem.
Dude, it's just absolute carnage. Hello, everyone. Ben Bryce, joined by Teddy Tarvis on Tuesday, June 18th, to give you your midday mayhem. And finally, Teddy, these markets seeing a little bit of green out there. So what's going on? What are we seeing right now in the grains?
A lot of mayhem. A lot of mayhem. So, yeah, things are turning around a little bit here. You could call it, I guess, a turnaround Tuesday, but there's not as much movement in the wheat and the KC wheat. But, yeah, beans are up about, 15, and corn's up about 7. So, they were kind of getting beat up yesterday, so it is good to see things turning around. But I think the question is, can we hold this strength?
Well, that's the thing. We saw the heaviness at the end of last week, and then we saw a little bit of follow through again yesterday. So are we seeing a little bit of profit taking ahead of the long weekend? There's no trading tomorrow, right? So we could be seeing some money being taken off the table here for guys that did get short and kind of want to take some risk off ahead of the middle of the week, no trading day, in the peak of weather markets, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of rain that's in the forecast, and there's a lot of heat. So everyone keeps saying, we don't know how good these crops are going to look, but it's like there's always sort of that but. It's really hot, but there's rain in the forecast. So it is kind of perfect growing conditions. If it's hot and it's wet, then that is inherently pretty helpful for the crops. So I know around here there's already corn that's almost waist high. So. Yeah, it's interesting to see, especially going into this, holiday tomorrow.
Right. And, there are, like you said, it's hot. Okay, that's maybe a little bit friendly, but it's also wet. There's not really one story out there that is really dominating these markets for these grains, really anywhere. You got a little bit on both sides, and you can kind of see that with the price action, right? For the past few weeks, corn had a decent rally in the middle of last week, and then we gave it all back, and today we're higher. So again, that choppiness is back in the markets, and it's very hard to tell where the funds are at. They were buying for a little bit there in April, May, but ever since we haven't really seen them. And I think that's something that this market needs to see. Demand overall, wheat harvest down in the Kansas and in the wheat belt area is going well, but even with that, if the wheat is a little bit tougher, even so, there's no demand out there. And I think the bigger story, that's what we need to see really across these markets, because if we're going to have a big surprise or something like that on next week's report for the quarterly grain stocks, that's going to be something that we need to see. And I just don't think we're seeing that right now.
Yeah, I think, we did see some buying from China in soybeans, but so far this week, haven't really seen much of that. But if they, like I said last week, if they can continue to keep buying, then that will be very helpful. But that's the thing, is are they going to? Because as far as we know, Brazil still has a decent price advantage over us. So yeah, I think you're right though. I mean, you got weather and you've got sort of just not a whole lot of demand. So
there's really, it's kind of, the headlines are pretty quiet out there right now for this market. A lot of focus on the growing. So switching over to livestock, what are we seeing there? They're a little heavier as before we came in to record this.
Yeah, some people think that futures are almost priced a little too high. I think we're kind of right where we're supposed to be, because we've seen cash kind of work its way a little bit higher. Box beef is still pretty good. So, there's kind of the same thing. There's not any one crazy story out there. So I think we're kind of right where we should be. And it seems like we keep getting these bird flu stories now, but again, I don't think there's really as much influence on the market.
Those bird flu stories are getting a little old, and the market really isn't reacting too heavily to them anymore like they were initially back there in February, March timeframe. So, and then another thing, hogs. I mean, they've been getting hammered here the past few weeks, but as of recent, we had 2 days of buying, maybe it's coming back. But even with that, they are setting back a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say that they've found sort of a bottom, but I think it's something to definitely monitor. If you're looking at your charts, something to be very careful of, because they were in a solid downtrend there. So yeah, just know where your risk is when you're in
Right. Yeah. I mean, a temporary support level may be something that we can be looking at for those hogs, right? We just need to be careful with that. Obviously, like Teddy said, know your risk, right? What is out there? What could change the markets? And I think a big story with that is going to be China, because China has a massive swing on this hog market, and we just aren't seeing the demand really come in for the hogs. And is it enough? Is this demand? The seasonalities of it. Typically, this is the time of the year where we do see a little bit of a rally, but we haven't seen that. So maybe we're looking at a counter seasonal. Maybe we're looking for a delayed, a little bit of a pop here to get maybe back to somewhere near those past highs. But even then, it's like, what is it going to take to get up there? Because they've really sold off pretty heavy over the past few weeks.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. I think demand is kind of the main thing that this market is seeing, and there's not a whole lot of it. So
Right.
You got a lot of supply and no demand. That's kind of where things are at right now.
Absolutely. So, guys, that's what we got for you today. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be putting out another Midday Mayhem come Thursday. Again, no trade tomorrow. We have a report coming up at the end of the month here, so look out for another snapshot coming up. And then early reminder, we do have our summer conference as well, the first or second week in July. I believe it's July 9th we're going to be releasing it. So if you guys have any questions or want to sign up, give us a call, 1-800-2-MARKET. That's 1-800-262-7538. Teddy, thank you for joining me.